Good morning. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I got to tell you, I am very proud to be standing at this podium today, probably as proud as I've been as the Attorney General to have a chance to speak to you. And that's because I'm joined by three dynamic leaders in this country who I think are going to change America in the 21st century. So it's a treat to get to stand with people that I will probably be wanting to shake their hand in the future and get their autograph as time goes on. I will introduce them now, and they will speak as well. Dulce Garcia is, well, she's living the dream in a way. She's an attorney. She's a dreamer who's an attorney. And a decade or so ago, that would have been impossible to even think could happen. We're essentially celebrating where California has gone 25 years after we had Proposition 187, which would have made this conversation and the achievements of these three great Americans impossible. And so to be standing next to an attorney who's a dreamer, big deal. And then standing right next to her is Valeria Blanco, who is a college student at UC Davis, one of the premier institutions of higher education in the world, and a dreamer. And so knowing what she's going to get to accomplish is, again, a marvelous statement about what this country is about. And then standing next to her is Nancy Pacheco, who is a graduate student at Sac State University, who also hopes to be able to go into law enforcement, and may not be able to until we resolve this issue of the Dreamers because of her status. But she wants to be out there protecting communities. And I don't think America would want to get in the way of someone who wants to serve her community and her country in uniform. Now you understand why I'm so proud to be standing at this podium, because this is a special occasion as the Attorney General for the state of California to speak to you about why we're in the fight we're in that will culminate with oral argument before the Supreme Court next Tuesday, the 12th of November, when California will lead the oral argument in our defense of the DACA program that has given these three future leaders the opportunity to just shine in America. We take our historic fight to the Supreme Court to defend the DACA program, but mostly it's to defend these three individuals and some 700,000 others who've applied for DACA. We do so because we want to prove to the Supreme Court that they should issue a decision that says that not only is DACA critical for people like Valeria, for Nancy, and for Dulce, it is legal. And we want the Supreme Court to validate what President Obama and more than 700,000 Americans have proven to the rest of us, that it is not just critical, but it is legal. Here in California, we stand up for every Californian, and we make the fight for them. This fight for the some 700,000 dreamers is not just a fight for them, it's for our communities as well. Certainly this is a fight that affects the 700,000 dreamers. But for California, to not have DACA, to not have Dulce practicing law, to not have Valeria and Nancy with an opportunity to finish their college education would be a serious blow to California, economically and otherwise. And it would be a blow to California, especially because essentially 1 in 4 of the dreamers who have DACA status reside in our great state of California. And so this fight is about protecting an attorney, a college student at Davis, a graduate student at Sac State, but it's about defending and protecting the doctors, the teachers, the innovators in the tech community, all those people who are out there doing great things for America and happen to be dreamers. Their health, their financial well-being, their livelihoods would be impacted by a bad outcome in the Supreme Court. But as I said before, so would California's health, its financial well-being, be impacted by a negative outcome in the Supreme Court. I hope we all remember that dreamers aren't just people who are achieving. Dreamers are paying roughly $9 billion in taxes every year at the federal, state, and local level to communities across America. They are contributing, and we are all benefiting. And we should also remember that our law enforcement leaders throughout the country have made the case for DACA as well, because they know that ending DACA would threaten public safety for all of us, because it would make DACA recipients less likely to be willing to report crime as witnesses or as victims. That would make all of us less safe in the streets of our neighborhoods. The president's decision to end DACA and put all of those things at risk was not only illegal, it ran contrary to American values. The values of embracing our diversity and the opportunity for everyone who works hard and who plays by the rules. That's why we will be in the Supreme Court on Tuesday. We know that multiple courts at the federal level have recognized the harm the president's decision to terminate DACA would wreak on all of our communities. They understood in their decisions why the president's decision was not just illegal, it was reckless. And we believe the president and his allies had an opportunity to resolve this issue once and for all without having to resort to the Supreme Court. But we're ready, because that's where he has taken us. So now, Tuesday's upon us. We are prepared to defend everything that the Dreamers had stood for, and we will no longer worry about the president's words, because on occasions he had indicated earlier in his presidency that he cared about the Dreamers. We've seen his actions, and actions speak way louder than words. So California is ready. I know the Dreamers are ready, and California and the Dreamers are optimistic. We believe history is on our side on this one as well. But more importantly than anything else, to hear it straight from those who are living this probably is the best evidence the court will have before it on Tuesday to indicate why we must move forward with the DACA program as it is. And so for that, let me now ask Dulce to give us a little bit about her experience as a dreamer who has DACA status. Dulce.
Thank you, Attorney General. My name is Dulce Garcia, and I'm a criminal defense and immigration attorney. I'm a DACA recipient, which means that I do not have a path to citizenship. I belong in the group of 11 million, estimated 11 million undocumented folks in the country. My family and I came in 1987. I was 4 years old. My family does not have a form to fill out or a line to get behind. So we remained undocumented for over 30 years. For over 30 years, I have been part of this community. It is where I spent sleepless nights doing homework. When my high school counselor told me that I wouldn't be able to go to community college because I was undocumented, my reaction was, you watch me. Because that's the resiliency and stubbornness that my mom taught me. Not only did I enroll in community college in San Diego, but I then transferred to UC San Diego. I worked full-time in a law office and worked various jobs in retail, serving tables, selling flowers, anything that would allow me to buy my next book. Today, I'm a property owner. I pay taxes as an employer. I employ Americans. I also pay taxes as an employee because I also work full-time for a nonprofit called Border Angels as an executive director. But more importantly, I'm part of this community, and I belong here. I belong in the streets of San Diego, where I once experienced homelessness, where I fell in love with my first dog and nurtured him until he passed away from cancer. It is in San Diego where I visited my mentor and my professional role model in the hospital, and I continue to visit him in the cemetery. San Diego is where I visit various high schools to talk to students. Last year, over 100,000 students graduated undocumented from high school. They're all eager to continue with their education, to become entrepreneurs, to work in their dream jobs. San Diego is where I defended and won my first felony trial. It is where I hope to adopt a child and start a family. It is where I want to spend the rest of my life and want to be buried someday. But without DACA, I'm deportable. More than just the hundreds of thousands of lives are at stake here. Justice is also threatened. When this president and this administration arbitrarily and capriciously rescinded DACA in the callous manner that it did so, using us as political bargaining chips to obtain funding for a ridiculous wall and to cut legal migration in half, that is unacceptable. And we stood up and we sued. Our lives have been disrupted in limbo. Since September 5, 2017, this administration took our ability to travel abroad. Since then, DACA recipients have had to endure watching their family pass away abroad without being able to say their goodbyes, and have had to watch funerals in Skype, if at that. It is only because of the brave DACA recipients that sued the president that we are able to renew our DACA status today. And it is only because of them that we are in front of the Supreme Court next Tuesday. Otherwise, this administration would have deported me. Let's remember that DACA was won by brave young folks who were screaming undocumented and unafraid, quite literally putting their livelihoods at risk and their bodies. I myself have received numerous hate messages and death threats as a result of this lawsuit. If the Supreme Court doesn't rule fairly, we will become deportable. Businesses will be disrupted. Families, including children, will fear that their parents will be deported. Today, we have a Dream and Promise Act that was passed in the House, but the Senate, Mitch McConnell, refuses to stand up for what is right and protect us, and instead just sits on a bill that we know will be passed. Put it on the floor. We know it will be passed. But so long as this administration is in office, we will not have a Clean Dream Act, and we will continue to suffer through inhumane immigration policies. Other states must also take California's leads in protecting our immigrant community. Our U.S. economy is better off by allowing DACA recipients to continue working. There are no studies that say the contrary, and it is the right thing to do. To my fellow DACA recipients, you are loved. We are here to stay. Please continue to renew your DACA and consult with an attorney immediately if your DACA expires in the next year. You are home, and keep dreaming, and dream big. Submit your applications to the various California colleges and universities. Own those spaces. Get it. You belong. We will win, and love will prevail. Con DACA o sin DACA seguiremos aquí. La lucha sigue. Mientras continúen estas injusticias y ataques contra nuestra comunidad migrante, nosotros seguiremos peleando. A veces será necesario hacerlo en las calles, a veces en las cortes y a veces en el Congreso. Pero nosotros continuaremos. Gracias.
Dulce, thank you. May I ask Valeria Blanco, please.
My name is Valeria Blanco, and I'm a Deferred Action Childhood Arrival recipient. I stand in front of all of you today with every ounce of courage inside of me to openly disclose my status. Because starting this November 12th, my future will forever be shaped by the Supreme Court's decision in the coming months. I aim to shape the future of DACA through the power of my story and the impact that DACA has had in my life. It was in high school that I came to find out that I was undocumented. For years, my parents kept it a secret from me in an effort to make me feel normal, so I would never think I had limitations in my academic journey. After their confession, I came to realize that my life would no longer be the same. How do I explain in words, feeling like you have no control over your future? How do I convey to everyone the tremendous fear that comes from being undocumented? The feeling like you are screaming and no one is hearing your pain. What do I have to do to show the world that my parents sacrificed everything simply to unite our family and to provide my sister and I with a better life? Only my community understands what it's like being in my situation. The emotional pain, the agony, the immense frustration, and the worst part, the feeling of absolute, complete hopelessness. Knowing you worked your entire life for a goal, and it could all be taken away from you. Not because you're not capable enough, not because you're not deserving enough, simply because of one piece of paper. When DACA was issued in 2012, a beacon of hope came my way. DACA gave me the freedom to pursue my higher education and the ability to engage in authorized work in the U.S. Most importantly, DACA gave me the power to keep pursuing my dreams. DACA has helped me thrive as a student at the University of California, Davis, where I'm currently pursuing a double major in sociology and Spanish. Not only have I managed to achieve straight A's, but I'm currently a part of the University Honors Program, where I will be conducting research and writing my senior thesis on education. Moreover, as a second-year student, I currently hold 2 jobs on campus, and I'm a Spanish teacher for a nonprofit. DACA made this possible for me. At the end of the day, all I want to do is use my knowledge to contribute to society. I just want to be able to study, to work, to pursue my dreams, just like any other college student. I am one out of 825,000 DACA recipients nationwide. I'm only one of approximately 1,700 DACA recipients across all UC campuses. I am a reflection of your colleagues, your coworkers, your neighbors, members of your own communities. During these turbulent times, I want to make it clear that I will no longer let fear govern my actions. I will no longer be ashamed of my status. I will no longer remain silent. Moving forward, I will be a voice for those who can't be heard. Because our stories matter. We matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Valeria. Let me ask Nancy Pacheco to please give us some words.
My name is Nancy Pacheco, and I am a DACA recipient. I came here when I was almost 2, and I came from Mexico. Obviously, I've never been back. I don't know anything other than the U.S. This is my home, and it has been for the last 22 years. I remember growing up in a neighborhood with a lot of crime. We're victims of crime. And since around my early childhood years, that's when I determined I want to do something in law enforcement in the long run, or something within the courts. As the years went by, approaching maybe sophomore year in high school, I realized I wouldn't have the opportunity to even go to college or work to where I wanted to get to in the long run. My world just kind of shattered. I was hearing a lot of my friends talking about what schools they wanted to apply to, what colleges and UCs and CSUs they would be going to, how many of them have gone to travel outside of this country, kind of beyond the unknown to me. And once 2012 came around, when DACA became established, it just kind of made me come down into tears. I realized since then that was my opportunity. It was a way of saying, you know what, don't give up just yet. There is still hope. It was perfect timing. It was my senior year in high school. And as soon as it came out, I immediately just jumped on it, applied, got accepted, and I started my college career the following fall semester. I went into community college. I did volleyball there, and I also worked part-time, and balancing all three just kind of made me realize I'm here. I've made it this far. Why stop now? Why not keep going? Then I transferred to Sac State 2 years later after I got my AA in Administration of Justice. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice from Sacramento State University. Took some time off considering that because we don't qualify for financial aid federally, it would be difficult for me to be able to pay off something like grad school, even if it was just at Sacramento State University. I took some time off, worked 2 jobs, got here, and I've now started my master's program at Sacramento State University, also for criminal justice. The thing about this is educationally, I feel like I've been thriving, but career-wise, it's my biggest challenge. I hope to become one day a law enforcement officer, and that has been the greatest setback because of my citizenship. I was told by several departments that if I was at least a resident, legal resident that is, I would be able to at least go into the academy and eventually become a citizen and stay within the department. I've already been turned by about 2 or 3 departments, and they've all said the same thing: we can't hire you. It just kind of hurts me considering that it's something that I want to do, is law enforcement, protect the community. I want to be part of the team that has been there to serve the community and keep the people safe, and it would be great if those of the higher administrative level would see that. I'm not the only one, though. There are plenty who have gone into the military, and several of them have been deported afterwards, which just kind of is a shame. A shame for this country to be sending them all back after they took that much courage to serve their country, only for them to turn their backs on them and send them back to where they don't know, the land of the unknown. I stand with here, you guys, today just to kind of give you my background and to establish and say that DACA is important. It is a necessity, and I don't think it is illegal. If you guys do rescind this, or if this was rescinded by the Supreme Court, I can tell you many families will be shattered. Many people, including the economy, will be affected negatively. I think this is one of the greatest things that have ever happened, even if it is only to a fraction of the U.S. population. But if it is taken away, it will impact us and not for the best. I stand with you here today as a DACA recipient. I stand with you guys. You're not alone. Don't give up hope.
Nancy, thank you very much. When I grow up, I want to be just like them. They're just fantastic. We will take questions.